I mean, my time in Malaysia, I didn't hug anyone that wasn't like my parents. And I feel like I actually made my parents hug more like me, more so than they hugged me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. You don't seem like a hugger though.
I don't see...
Yeah.
Wait, have we not hugged?
I don't know. I don't know if we've
I can't
hugged
remember
before.
anymore. Maybe I just did the
Yeah, that's a very you thing. That's very you thing. Everybody who's watching right now, I need everybody to do me a favor. Extend your arms, get close to your whatever device that you're listening on, watching this on, and just let's do a collective group.
Let's
Yeah.
just let's not.
Nice
Let's
little
just
this little, you know,
You look like you're about to
wrapping around
ASMR people.
via hugging.
Yeah.
What is this? That's not ASMR.
No, well, I don't want to tap my mic because it'll turn off, but you know they do the
Oh
mic.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. Welcome everybody to the 20M podcast. Good hugs from both Rino and I. What's going on? Welcome to the podcast. This is a show mainly about disagreeing with your friends, and boy, let me tell you, I can't wait to disagree with so many of our friends today because we've got a couple guests featured as part of the show. But Rino, I think this is episode 5.
It is 5.
Episode 5.
Yeah.
We always pitch the show as the show about disagreeing with your friends, but I think it's an apt time to also remind people about what this show is really about.
What is the show really about?
It's...
I'm like hearing this for the first time. Like, wait, are we?
Yeah.
Like,
This is a completely riffed segment from my side. No, I just wanted to reflect a little bit about like all the topics that we've touched on in the past before. Just in case we've got some new listeners catching into the episode of the first time, because I think it's a good like this show is about disagreeing with your friends because the genesis of this show is about like us disagreeing so much that we were like, hey, we should start a podcast. Is that a fair like genesis of this?
That's
like
pretty much it. People need to hear our arguments. I think that was kind of the genesis of it.
That's correct. And then we kind of stumbled into, hey, you write about games, you stream games, you talk about games, but then you also love movies and anime and a bunch of other nerd culture stuff. And then I was like, yes, of course, I stream games as well. I love games, I love movies, I love music, I love like entertainment, I love film. Like we should disagree about not just games. We should disagree about like general entertainment and pop culture. No? So if you're joining us, welcome to the 20M podcast, folks. This is the show where we disagree with friends, but we also talk about games, anime, TV, film, and a bunch of cool things that our cool friends do across industries. How is that? How would you rate that? Like that repitch, episode 5 repitch?
Not bad. I noticed that you put in that I like anime, but then when you talked about yourself, you like didn't add the anime. I was like. That's kind of accurate. We'll see. I guess we'll see if Arief watches anime in this episode in particular.
That's so true. And yeah, we're definitely going to touch on some anime later. But also, if y'all are listening, we please follow us hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us we're putting short videos on TikTok at 20M, Instagram at 20M. Is it at 20M or at 20M podcast?
At 20M podcast.
At 20M podcast. There we go. And then also obviously on YouTube Shorts as well.
And Twitter.
DM us on these platforms. Drop your reactions. We'll definitely. I have this like vision of like compiling comments and putting them in the podcast in our shows, just to shame my friends whenever they make fun of you. Which is never gonna be the scenario. They're always gonna make fun of me, which is why I never feature any comments on this show.
I was gonna say, like even with the first episode, we had some really great comments that we haven't talked about because it's roasting Arief to no end. They're pretty good. They're pretty good. Shout out to our lovely friends who support us and roast us at the same time.
Well, we'll add them next episode. Yes, I think that's just a good reintroduction. So sit back, relax, hang out. This is gonna be a fun, wild episode. So Rino, we've got a lot of things to talk.
We do. Well, what have you been up to?
I feel like I've just been throwing these like awkward pauses at you to see how you react. You know what I mean? To test your podcasting skills or like improv skills or whatever.
Really.
But I don't know if it's working out. Yeah.
No, I mean like we normally start off with like, what have you been up to? What games you've been playing? Music been listening to? TV shows? All that kind of stuff. So I would like to ask you, like, what have you been up to this week?
I have been having a wild week.
Okay. I'm listening. What made it so wild?
Just watch like a bunch of people drop off at these awkward pauses because they don't know like if the episode is live or not, or if something went wrong. No, I've been no, I've been a little bit ill, so I've been on the upswing, so I haven't been
Oh,
doing
yeah, I
much
remember
other
that.
than you remember that I was
Like,
sick.
I don't know, like, my concept of time is, like, really skewed these days, okay? So I can't remember if you were sick this week or last week, but I just remember every morning or every night, I get an update from you, and it's like, "Just FYI, I'm really ill, might not be responding." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And next morning, "On the upswing." I'm like, "Cool, great, happy for you." Next morning, "I'm sick again." And I'm like, "What are you doing?" Like
I'm just really ill, okay? I want you to care for me, but apparently like none of these messages are actually like, I don't know,
It's
causing
it's
you to
just like
feel
a roller
empathy.
coaster of emotions, but no, I can't like, I do want you to get better, obviously, as, like, your friend, but then I also know, like, at night, you're, like, traipsing through KL with your
That's
friends
not
and
true.
your followers, hitting up the bars and the clubs.
That's absolutely
So I'm
not
just
true.
like,
That is
I don't
wholeheartedly not
know.
true. I saw
Like
one friend who was visiting. Shout out to my friend Ryan who visited all the way from
Mhm,
Switzerland. He's actually funny story about him. I saw him this week, even though I was a little bit on the upswing, a little bit ill.
mhm,
But he's the first person who introduced me to Life is Strange, and that's one of my favorite like game series. Well, maybe like Life is Strange One is one of my favorite games of all time.
mhm,
And I have a
mhm.
hilarious story about Life is Strange, and we'll share that a bit.
Okay.
Ryan, but major love to Ryan.
Mhm.
Good to see.
It was worth
Um,
getting on the downswing after that.
yeah, like re-spiraling. No, but otherwise I've just been like catching up on games for the most part. I feel like
Mhm,
most times we play games to like to review or to like stream or just to like get through them and make
mhm,
content and things like that. But I've just been coincidentally, I mean, we have been playing a game that I intend to like give a little bit of thoughts on later this episode. But I've
mhm.
just been playing some Digimon World next door. So I've been
Very
playing
cool,
that a
very
lot
cool.
This week. Not much. What
Mhm.
about you? What have you been consuming? What have you been up to?
Games wise, I started a new game on stream because I can only take so much Genshin. Um, so I started AI Somnium Files. It's by the same people who developed Danganronpa, so that's Spike Chunsoft. And it is a. Are we allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yes, you've already sworn on this
Yeah,
podcast.
it is a mind fuck. And then, like, in like the best and worst ways possible. Like Danganronpa, one of my favorite series of all time. I played all the games, read the light novels, watched both the terrible anime and the not so terrible anime. I've like really gone deep into this franchise, and I know that it's like messed up in so many ways. So then when I started Somnium Files, I like it has a much more serious tone to it. So I wasn't sure which direction it was going, and then it would just drop like really, really, um, I don't know what the word, like inappropriate comments. Like, not inappropriate, like, like, racist or anything, but inappropriate, like, I would never say this in, like, a public setting, but this character just said this thing, and I'm like, "What?" So there's a lot of, like, "What?" moments in the actual game, but it's been good so far, and a lot of people in my community have played it, so they're like, "Oh, really excited for me to get to it." Like, I've streamed, like, maybe 6 hours of it so far, and apparently I'm only 5% in the game. So I've got a long way to go. Yeah.
That's what really scares me about those games. Is it maybe just so that because I'm not too familiar. I've seen
Mhm,
this game by name and a lot of people in our Twitter sphere talk about it. But what is the gameplay like? Is it similar to Danganronpa where it's kind of like a visual novel,
mhm.
action oriented game? It's a is would you even consider Danganronpa like action oriented?
Yeah, so with Danganronpa, I'd say the split is pretty. I don't know if it's like 50-50 or how you want to kind of like divide it, but Danganronpa has the visual novel elements where there's a lot of talking, a lot of dialogue, but then there's also the exploration part where you're trying to find like evidence because you're about to go into court and figure out who killed who. And then there's the final element of the gameplay where you're in the court and then you're like shooting the lies and trying to uncover the truth. So I feel like there's kind of like three parts to it, although there's probably some mini games I'm forgetting. But with AI Somnium Files, it's also very similar in that it's based around it's a murder mystery game. I don't know how many murders there are. I think there might only be one, or at least like it's one consistent story as far as I'm aware of. But they don't have as much of that discovery sort of element like they do in Danganronpa. Like you can go around and click on stuff, but it's more it just kind of just tells you like, oh, chair, this is a chair kind of thing. It's not like it's very it's it's a bit different. It's much I think it's more more a visual novel. I'd say it's like more 75% visual novel. I haven't actually done a whole lot of exploration. There's one there are some parts of the game where you can control a character that you see in third person, you move them around. And then they kind of look through the room, but that's been like a very minimal part of the gameplay so far. But as my chat said, I'm only 5% in, so who knows? It might change as I go along.
That's insane to me. I was hanging out with a couple friends in the games industry yesterday.
Mhm.
It was again major love to Sakina from Persona Theory, Dale at IGN, and Tosh. What is Tosh? All
Tosh, Tosh,
like
buddy.
Tosh Bunny, like content creator
Yeah.
galore, like Valorant shoutcaster. Um, like, and I think we were talking about some games, but we were talking about one of the things we were talking about were games that get good only after a certain amount of time, like an obscene amount of
Mhm.
time, where it's like
Mhm.
Persona 5, really you're in the tutorial, like where you're in the tutorial up until like 20 hours into the game, you know? That's when the game is like
Yep.
fully the game. And then apparently Xenoblade 3, it's like you get new stuff like 70, like you get new prompts and new like
Mhm.
tutorial like things like 70 hours into that game. I don't know, it's like it's kind of crazy. Do you usually stick through to these games, like these longer GRP?
I mean, it's funny that you mentioned Persona 5 because like I have that from a friend. Actually, we're no longer friends, but I brought it with me from Australia. I still have it and I'm still in the tutorial stage. It's been like more than 4 years now because it's before I moved to Japan. So,
That's fine because I'm
um,
sure your friend probably has Royal now, you know.
probably, I'm sure. I mean, former friend, ex-friend. Oh, I hope you're doing well, man. But I still have your Persona 5, sucker. Um,
What the? It's like
anyway,
you're just jacking people's games, beating them up, and like stealing their game.
you know what else I have? I also have a PlayStation 4 controller that I took that someone like brought over so we could play games, and then we just stopped sort of like being in contact anymore. So I brought both someone's Persona 5 and someone else's like PlayStation 4 controller with me.
Like a kleptomaniac at this point, you know what I mean? Like this is clear
It's not
patterns of
it's not it's
thievery.
not robbery if people leave it at your house and then don't make any attempt to claim it back.
But if I
It,
if I unknowingly left my Nintendo Switch Joy-Con over at your place, I feel like it's on you to like follow up and say, "Hey, this like 60, 70 US dollar piece of equipment is at my house. Like I think it is good on me to return this."
okay, all right. Before I
It's like
get
you've broken
canceled
international
by the
law or something, you know what I
community,
mean?
before I get canceled, two of these people did not do right by me. So this is what I've claimed as my own. All right, this is what I claim as my own.
Okay.
There's a
Okay.
reason why they haven't reached out to be like, hey, I want my stuff back, and it's because they know that they were wrong.
Okay.
So
Okay, fair.
yeah.
So the moral of the story is don't screw over your friends. And then also, if
And
you
if you
do, you're not gonna get
don't leave
your
your stuff there,
yeah,
yeah.
you're not gonna get your stuff back.
If you're
Like
gonna
it's
screw your friends over, make sure you take everything with you.
um, okay, I don't I've never played going back to the game. I've
Mhm,
never played anything by Spike Chunsoft. I'm really not
mhm.
a fan. As in like I've never exposed myself to Danganronpa.
Wow,
I've
you're
never
like, I'm really
I
not
know,
a
I'm
fan of
really
this
not a fan. I think it's a
this
really bad
series that Reno
series.
loves.
No, but it's one of those like JRPG. You would consider it a JRPG, like these series.
Um, it's it's very anime style in the aesthetic, but I don't know if it's an
Hmm,
RPG in the same way like that we understand like Octopath or Final Fantasy or Genshin. 'Cause you're not going around hacking and slashing people.
that's fair.
It's most similar to like Ace Attorney, I suppose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
So
is another
why don't you like
series.
it?
No,
Why
which is
don't you
another
like it?
series that I've never really gotten
Is it because you
into.
can't read?
Yeah, it's because I'm illiterate, everybody. No, I mean I'm an avid reader. All right, everybody. You
Yeah,
can
yeah,
like
yeah.
look if you're watching on video.
The four books on your floor.
I've got a stack of books. You know, I'm an avid reader. I think sometimes I tend to fall asleep when I read dialogue, and that is
Uh-huh.
so bad for like people that write games. But I think as a child, I like it was definitely one of those things where if I was reading so much in a game,
Mhm,
I would like fall asleep a little.
mhm.
I needed a little bit of like stimulation, moving around a bit more, which is why Kingdom Hearts is the perfect. Um, that was a transition that I was trying to make happen, but it didn't really, it
Yeah, I'm
didn't
like,
really
okay.
yeah, nothing to talk about with Kingdom Hearts. No, but I just find these like interesting. But would you recommend people kind of like if they're not used to this genre of game? Because I'm always so curious
Mhm,
about this because I see a lot of people like froth at the mouth when a new Ace Attorney
mhm,
comes out. I'm looking at you, the Toge folks. There's like I think it's like Sarah, Joanne. I don't know who else at Toge like love Ace Attorney, but they were like, oh my
mhm.
god, the new Ace Attorney game is amazing, you know. But it's like I feel like I'm missing out on like Danganronpa, AI Somnium Files, or like Ace Attorney, or these things like that.
Mhm,
Would you
mhm.
recommend like people who have never been exposed to the franchise kind of jump in with any of these games?
I mean, like, I haven't caught up with the recent Ace Attorneys, but I grew up playing like the original ones on the DS, and I love them so much as well. Like, I totally relate to the Togi guys who love it too, because I remember like flying back to Australia for high school and for university, and that 8 hour flight from Malaysia to Sydney. I don't sleep the whole time because I'm just playing Ace Attorney. It's so engrossing. It's so riveting. It's like reading like a crime book or something like that, and then there's like bits of like humor. The characters, some of them are pretty lovable, some of them are kind of like what the fuck, but like I I do recommend it because I think storytelling in games when it's done well, like it's something that can't be replicated. Like I can't imagine this being as good as it is if it was just a TV show or if it was just a book or something like that. But I also understand why people don't like reading because it's like I play games to escape and to not feel like I'm doing homework or something like that. But if you can get past that, the fact that it's mostly dialogue and just sit in the dialogue, if that makes sense, like I think I really recommend it. Danganronpa changed my life. Like like it sounds so strange to say that, but it really did. Like just the way that it taught me so much about storytelling, taught me so much about good characterization, about how you can put like really bizarre things and somehow it still kind of works. So yeah, I love it. I super recommend it. You should play it.
Danganronpa specifically.
I think I like the setting of Danganronpa a lot more because I mean it's like high school anime. I don't know, do you know anything about it?
I have zero knowledge of
Okay.
Danganronpa except there's a bear and people are trapped.
Yeah, so the premise of Danganronpa is you play as this guy. His name is Naegi Makoto, and he's like in the beginning he's like standing in front of this really prestigious school. It's a school that only the most elite kids of their field can get into. So if you're like the best at football, then you get in. You're the best at singing, you get in. So all the kids have a designation. So they're called, what is it translated in English? Because it's Chogokokyu in Japanese, which is like super high school level. So super high school level soccer player or something. But I think in English they go ultimate. So like ultimate soccer player, ultimate vocalist, ultimate martial artist. But the character you are is you won the gacha, so you basically won the lottery, and like you're like a total like pleb who's able to get in, and you're like, oh, like I'm really excited to go in because anyone who graduates from the school is set for life. It's like that so elite that once you go there, like you end up becoming like prime minister, becoming like super famous or anything like that. And then once you get in, you faint, you wake up, and then suddenly you're trapped in the school with I think it's 12 or 14 other kids. I can't remember. And then the bear appears, and the bear is like, I've constructed this killing game. If you want to get out of here, you have to play by my rules, and it just evolves into this sort of like people one by one having to kill each other because they want to get out.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, and I think the setting just lends for really crazy characters because everyone is like unhinged in their own way because they're all like high, like super genius level in whatever their field is. And it's not just pure play like your usual like after school sports like, oh, like this guy's good at wrestling, this guy's good at badminton. It's like super high school level gambler or like super high school level programmer, super high school level like I think moral compass is one of them. Like this guy who's like just he's like the perfect like class monitor that like that's kind of like what he's good at and
Wow.
things like that. So yeah, just wild, really interesting characters. I actually have this one's from
How
Danganronpa
did you
2.
pull that out so slyly? Like you had this whole thing like prepared, yeah?
No, I just have a bunch of like small trinkets on my
For
table.
audio listeners only, Reno just slyly pulled, like instantly pulled out something from off camera. That was what are these like acrylic stands? Like
Yeah, no, because I've been turning it on the table because I'm fidgeting, and I was like, oh hey, this is from Danganronpa. So this is Oma-kun from Danganronpa 2. This from
mhm.
Danganronpa 2 or 3. Shit, I can't remember. But it's like the underwear collect. It's like the underwear collection.
Why are you saying that as if that's a normal collection that I...
No, so in Danganronpa, I think this is all throughout all 3 of the games. If you get max friendship with because you get free time in the game and you can spend it with whoever you want and you can build friendships. So if you get max character with them, for some reason they give you their underwear.
Right, okay.
So,
right.
That's what are friends for, right?
Yeah, you remember like
So,
earlier this episode we were talking about like Western ways of saying hello. Is this like more Eastern, where it's like instead of hugs, like we exchange underwear?
Yes. Yeah, this is Japanese culture. Please pack extra underwear when you come to Japan. Yeah, so I have this. It's yeah, I got this. This is also a gacha thing. He's not my favorite character, but he just appeared, so okay, I'll taking it.
Yeah, I guess I have his underwear.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't have much to like. I it's not that people have been recommending Danganronpa to me, but it's more like just existing on the internet, you know, being exposed to a lot of games and games journalists and people in this industry, memes, obviously being on Twitch and people talking about like some favorite Japanese game properties that they love. Like Danganronpa always comes up, and I've known of this property for so long, and I'm just afraid of it. Like at this point, you know, because it seems, and to me, like correct me if I'm wrong, everybody, but the people who love it. Like if you get to that stage where I guess like you finish the game, I don't think I've heard people like not say good things about Danganronpa. It's always like, God, like more people should be playing Danganronpa, you know. But every single time I tune into somebody's stream about on Danganronpa, it just doesn't look interesting to me at all. It doesn't look like exciting or interesting, and there's obviously a lot of dialogue, which I'm not afraid of dialogue, but it's like
you make it sound like you're so afraid of words.
I know, yeah, like, the words scare me. Yeah, but I don't know. I just like it's so fascinating to hear people kind of gush about this series. So I feel like I'm so intrigued. I'm intrigued, rather, you know.
I think Danganronpa was the game I was obsessed with right before Genshin, and I actually got quite a few of my friends, or just like people who follow me on Instagram, into it, and I got so much joy just following their progress. They'll message me like, "Hey, I'm gonna try this game since you recommended it," and I'm literally like all caps, "Oh my god, you have to tell me. You are now obliged to tell me every time you finish like one round." And then they message me and like, what the fuck? What just happened?" I'm like, "I know, right? Just keep going, and I get so much excitement out of people telling me about their Danganronpa updates. But just to go back to Somnium Files, it's a bit different. So it's like in some ways a more mature version compared to Danganronpa. So the art style is very different. All the characters are drawn a bit more grown up. The colors are more muted. There's actually, I think it's almost fully voiced, like whereas Danganronpa only parts of it are voiced. So it's quite a bit more polished. And it is darker as well, I think, because of the way they render the 3D animation. It just like what's happened, at least as far as I've covered so far, a character has been killed and is impaled by something through her eye, so it's kind of gross, things like that. You don't see as much of that in Danganronpa. When they do like the murder scenes, it's all very comical in a sick way, but still like funny. So Somnium Files feels like a more adult version so far.
Got it. Yeah, okay. No, as in like
you should play.
I know. And for those that are listening, for those that are watching, like if you love Danganronpa, please write into the show, because it seems like I am not the best like co-host to bounce these like the Danganronpa passion that I'm hearing from Rino, but also like like Somnium Files. What's the last one is like? Is this the new one that they were teasing at one of the Nintendo Directs from a while ago?
The one. So
there's another game, right?
Yeah. So the one I'm playing is the old one, because it's super like required reading to play the new one. So the new one is called Nirvana Initiative, I think. And that one came out end of this year. Yeah, it was dropped at Nintendo Direct, I believe. So yeah, that's why I'm playing it, because I want to play the new one. And I know like Danganronpa has taught me that like all these kind of games are always interlinked, so you got to play through all of them to really get all the references.
And what a way to sell all your games at the same time, you know.
I know, right? I know.
It all connects. Cool. Any other last thoughts on AI Somnium?
No, I think I'm still too early in to like fully like, you know, do a proper analysis of it and everything. But I'm enjoying it a lot, and it's fun to stream. It's fun to stream it. People who've played it, like most of my chat are like super I don't know, professional, I guess, about it. Like, they don't, if they play it, they won't spoil it for me. They're just there to see my reaction and to sort of like relive their time with the game. I guess it gets a bit sad, like these kind of games with a clear end, and because it's story driven as well, it doesn't lend to a lot of like replayability, so you don't see it popping off Twitch. Like when the game comes out, I'm sure it went off. Like Danganronpa, when it came, I'm sure it was popular on Twitch, but then no one plays it anymore. Like there's always only like 1 or 2 streamers in the entire world streaming it at any time, which is a bit sad. But I guess that's just the nature of games that have an ending. Whereas something like Genshin, like there's just no end to the grind.
I think there's also like an in between, and this is a series that I haven't played. I don't think you have either, but the Nier series.
Yeah, I haven't played that.
Yeah, so like I know, like at least for Nier Automata, everybody talks about like, yeah, when you finish the game, there's like 600 different endings. It's like that does not make it more appealing to me. But as in, like, I think there's a way to do narrative in games, and obviously we're not the subject matter experts here, but where you have an ending, but when you replay it, you get a different experience. And like apparently some playthroughs of Nier are like, and I'm totally exaggerating, but they could be like 3 hours to 2 hours to 1 hour, depending like how many times you read. So maybe I don't know, maybe there is this new form of like, how do you make it replayable, how do you make it Twitch streaming oriented, also telling a definitive end. But I get you. I feel like that's why it's so surprising sometimes when I go on Twitch and I think some games, the stats would be like, I would imagine at least like 30 people are playing this game. It's like, no, like globally on Twitch at this current time, there's 3 people playing this game.
Yeah,
it's just like another commentary about like how maybe there's some games that are just like that take up the majority of streaming platforms, and games that are just like not inherently meant to.
Yeah, exactly. Some games just aren't designed with streaming in mind, which is totally fine as well. Like not everything needs to be a streamable game, but I guess like having it made streamable just makes it a bit easier to get that marketing funnel going and people playing it and all of that. But isn't Octopath Traveler also the same, like where you've got 8 characters, so you just replay the game 8 times? Is that not
no I think it's like, so I haven't played Octopath 2, and I know that's like all the rage right now, a lot of people playing it. But Octopath 1 is kind of like you go through, it's not the same game, it's kind of like you have 8 different stories that it's up to you on how you want to recruit different people. So maybe like somebody's playthrough, you would recruit the different people for the first 3 people. So it's kind of, you're going through each individual vignette and it all culminates in the end. But I would love to see if that is changed up in Octopath 2. So hopefully we get to play that at some point. But yeah, no, you're right. I feel like that allows more streamability as well, where somebody's like, oh, like I haven't got to this part of the game. I chose this character first. Or even just like not a stream, just like discussions in general with your friends for playthroughs. Like these games have such a fascinating approach to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. I will check out. I don't know why I just like try to get away from AI Somnium Files. I just have no. I really like. I haven't played these games. I'm happy for you, but I'm just like we can.
No, absolutely. That was cool.
Okay, so maybe for context, everybody, Rino and I talk a lot, and sometimes there are scenarios when, and in true podcasting fashion, there are some scenarios where we're like, oh, I want to tell you the story so bad, but we should save it for the podcast. That's how you know we are proper podcasters. Rino, you need to walk me through. All I have in my notes is your gym story. What happened? Like, we all know you work out. We all know you go to the gym. You know what I mean? If you haven't followed Rino on Instagram, it's just, that's your part of your personality. But can you please tell me what this gym story? It's been like 6 days, I think.
It's been, yeah, 6 long days, right? It's been crazy. Yeah, and to give a bit more context as well, like I finished like when that scenario ended, my first instinct was like, I'm gonna send audio clips to Arief about what just happened. I sent 3, and I was like, wait, I think I'll just like tell him like next time we record, and I just deleted all of them. So I don't know if when the next time you saw your WhatsApp, it was just like 3 deleted messages, and I was like, and
it was one deleted voice note. Yeah,
I was 1. I actually sent 3. I don't know why it only showed 1, but yeah. Okay, so I don't want to like I won't dox myself or anything, so I'm not gonna discuss like where it was or like who it was and all. But I go to a gym, and there's a lot of high performing people at this gym, like professional athletes and things like that. And then there's just like me, right? Like I'm just like this thumb that goes there, tries her best, and goes home. And I think for the last maybe 3 or 4 weeks now, there's like a couple of sessions where I train at the same time as he's a professional martial artist, And so I do martial arts. Like I do Muay Thai. I've been doing it for 6 or 7 years now. And when I train by myself at this gym, even though it's not a martial arts gym, I'll just go through my warm up and I'll do my shadow boxing and all that kind of stuff. And so like when you're doing martial arts and someone else is doing martial arts as well, it's and you can see that it's like you're both speaking the same language, right? Like it's like if you speak French and you hear French over there, you turn and you're like, oh, okay, fellow person who speaks French. It's the same thing in martial arts. But so he's obviously the professional. He's everyone at the gym knows him. I don't know him. I just see him around. And I don't want to be that person who bothers someone at the gym or anything. I don't even, see his fights. I'm just like, okay, like there's a guy there who does martial arts. So I train on my own. He normally goes in the back, and that's kind of it. But we obviously acknowledge each other.
It's
So
kind of
then
just like
this,
that, the gym head nod, just the like,
yeah,
good job for doing martial arts.
pretty much. And then so this week, it was pretty busy. So he ended up training nearer to me, like in my sort of my area, and we were both shadow boxing at the same time. And one of the trainers comes over who also does martial arts. He was just kind of laughing at both of us with our like music on, kind of like boxing the air. And he's just like, "What the fuck are you guys doing? Just like train together." And just became this like funny moment. And we're like, "Yeah." And then when I finished my session and he was like pulling out his gloves, I guess he was gonna go do some training with the trainer. I was like, okay, like I think we can sort of like break the ice and say hello. Now that like we've been training alongside for so long, and I want to. I'm trying to play it cool here. Okay, I'm not trying to be a fangirl or anything. He's just a guy. I'm just someone training here. So I go up to him while he's putting on his gloves and I'm like, hey, how's your training? How's it going? And it was like good conversation. We chatted. And then out of nowhere, this like middle-aged Japanese lady just like jumps like into like our conversation space. And she goes like in Japanese, she's like, oh my God, you do Muay Thai, you do kickboxing. It's so great. And I'm like, okay. I'm just trying to have a conversation. Like just trying to play it cool. And then so we continued talking. And my phone, I'm holding onto my phone, and it's like facing me. I'm like holding it like that. But I think because my thumb was on the screen, it actually opened up the camera. It actually opened up the camera.
Oh no!
But I didn't notice. I was just there. And then the lady, like again in Japanese to me, is like, "Do you want to take a photo?" And I was like, no, it's okay. Like it's fine." And she's like, "Oh, but like he's good. He's good." And she's saying it all in Japanese. And the guy doesn't speak Japanese, so he's like looking at me. He's looking at me. He's like, "Oh, what is she saying?" I'm like, and she's still making the motions, and I'm like, "Yeah, like all right, yeah, sure, yeah."
Oh my God!
So she takes that photo.
You succumb to this?
She takes the photo, and I'm like so mortified. I'm like, man, I've built up 4 weeks of being a cool person who just trains by herself at this gym, and this lady just demolished all of my cred in like 10 seconds. Like by just standing there, by like screaming that we both do martial arts, and then taking the photo. Yeah. So
how did this end? How did this whole scenario end?
After the photo, I just said, "Cool. I will see you around." And to top it off, it's like a terrible photo. Like we both look like shit because like we've both been like sweating for like the last hour and a half, right? So it's like it was never gonna be a good photo anyway. I will not share this photo with you.
Oh God, I feel like secondhand embarrassment for you. That sucks. Like that is the worst, because I'm all about like social engineering scenarios to be flipping cool or to maneuver them in a certain way. That is a nightmare. I feel so bad for you, but also that's flipping hilarious, and that is such a podcast story, and I'm so happy.
Okay, yeah. Man,
this lady, like, did we beat her up after? Like, you just ruined everything.
She just ruined everything. No, but she was so enthusiastic about it. It was almost like she was like the fangirl, and then she was like lumping me in with her fan community. I'm like, no, I'm just a normal person here.
That is so sad. That is so sad. We should get him on the podcast next episode.
Yeah. Might as well. At this point, it's like might as well. Just go full on. Just go 100% with it.
We replay this story, this clip.
So his credit, he's a super nice guy. So he was really nice, really humble, and he's obviously very good at what he does. So yeah.
You can never train with him now.
Yeah.
Like you just continue to punch the air next to him. Like it's not worth. It's done. It's ruined.
I'll probably see him this week, and then I'll be like, "Hey, I talked about you on the podcast."
That's totally normal. That's a very normal. I think you're just shooting yourself in the foot perpetually. God, what a great story. I have no story that can combat that as of now, because that is just
because you've never been so embarrassed.
I've never. You can go back and scrub through the video podcast of this, and that's like I'm shrieking in like not even internally. Like I'm just like I'm crumpling my body because of because of flipping embarrassed, like secondhand embarrassment. That's terrible. And it's also so sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you think somebody would ever do that with us? You know, when this podcast blows up?
Like someone would start shrieking about seeing their friend with us and then asking to take photos.
Sure. That's where I was going.
I mean, didn't you just tell me yesterday you felt like a D-grade content creator?
I don't want to talk about it. Let's move on, everybody. Here's the issue, everybody. You know, Rino and I are very, you know, we've made a lot of friends over the past couple of years in the games industry and the content creator space and the entertainment industry. But nothing is more humbling when you're hanging out with a content creator, influencer, friend of yours, and you know you're getting coffee, you're getting lunch, you're just hanging out, and you see one of your like family members, and your family member comes like, you know, you say hello, it's like, oh, I didn't know you guys were here. Hey, you know, they're like, there's like a 10, 12-year age gap or whatever, and then they text you after. It's like, hey, were you with blank content creator? Like, was that blank content creator? And you'd be like, yeah. That's like, oh my god, that's amazing. I watch their content all the time. How do you think that makes me feel as a content creator? You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a demoralizing, like, slap in the face kind of a scenario where it's like my content clearly isn't cool enough to be watched by my little family, by my, you know, younger family members, but my friends' content are. Anyway, we can move on from this. That's my equivalent of a gym story.
Yeah. I mean, it was cute.
Yeah,
sure. When you shared the screenshot with me, I was like, that's pretty adorable.
It's funny. I'm gonna make all our content creator influencer friends just sign autographs for us for like family.
You just hand it out. Yeah.
Christmas presents or something.
Yeah, Christmas presents.
Folks, we've got a new segment. I was imagining in my mind like there's an applause track or something.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got a new segment here on the 20M podcast. It only took us 5 episodes to figure out. How shall I pitch this? So the podcast has always been a podcast about disagreeing with your friends. But we started to notice that we haven't been disagreeing with each other too much because we're
as much as we thought we were.
Exactly, we're very cordial, very like, you know.
You know why?
Why?
Because like the stuff we disagree about, we get it if we talked about it on the stream. We got canceled. Exactly.
You won't believe what Rino said last night. That's internet content. That's for internet content. No, but we have this new segment where it's called disagree. It's called Disagree with Your Friends, and I think it's Disagree with Your Friends, and it's such a funny thing because we noticed that we weren't fighting as much as we thought we would be. So why not bring our friends in? Talk about our content creator friends. Talk about our influencer friends. We've got to fight with somebody. So this whole segment is moving forward in the podcast. Hopefully every week, we'll see how the cadence goes after this episode. But we wanted to have some of our friends in some of our mutuals submit videos of a certain topic. We react to that topic and kind of give our thoughts and our input, and if we agree or disagree. So without further ado, this week's topic of Disagree with Your Friends is Best Anime Main Character. Do you want to lay this up a little bit, Rina? Do you have any, why did you think that that's a good topic to impose?
I mean, I think when we were thinking about the friends in mind, like most of us, you know, play games, most of us watch anime, some of us don't. But I really wanted to get everyone's thoughts on like who they thought was the objectively like the best main character or best anime protagonist. And I actually like this morning was thinking like, I don't know who mine is. I actually spent a good amount of time this morning making sure I had an answer as well before I dunk on everyone else's. And I think it's just a really cool controversial topic. And based on the guests that we've asked to sort of collab with us on this, like I'm excited to know, what their thoughts are and how wrong they might be.
Exactly. I think it's a good one. I think everybody has their own thoughts on best anime main character. But let's go ahead with the first one. We had our first friend of the show. It's funny because I'm totally degrading them. So, yo, we had this caller. We had somebody call into the show. Big fan of the show. No, we asked our friend Asyraf Chazz to send in a video of best anime main character. And a little bit of a layup for Mr. Chazz here. Phenomenal Singaporean-based content creator. He's one of the best people in the streaming space in Southeast Asia because of how kind and how good-hearted he is. And recently, he started producing content about One Piece, specifically the One Piece trading card game, and he's just been blowing up on YouTube. So find maybe a title, a card here somewhere on screen or in the description below of Asyraf Chazz's YouTube channels. But if you're into One Piece and if you're into TCG, please go support him. But I'm really excited to see if he says One Piece in this video. So let's check this out.
So Rino and Arief asked me the question, who is the best main character of all time in anime? There's only one correct answer to this, and it's Monkey D. Luffy. He is the greatest MC of all time in all of anime. So first of all, he's not like the overpowered shonen protagonist. He's not like the smartest MC of all time. He knows his own weaknesses and he will not hesitate to ask his crew for help, as evidenced by the time where he said to Sanji that he cannot become Pirate King without him. Also, he's extremely creative in all his attacks, using rubber as a fruit to kind of attack into your opponents, and he does beat stronger enemies with his powers. Also, if you give Luffy a piece of meat, he will literally free your country from oppression. That's just how good he is. And also, the final reason why I think he's the best MC of all time is that he doesn't want to be the strongest. He doesn't want to be the Hokage. He doesn't want to be the Wizard King. He doesn't want to be like the best in something. No, he simply wants to be Pirate King because he wants to be the freest man on the open seas. And that is why I think Monkey D. Luffy is the best main character in all of anime.
That was so beautiful. That was
okay, my first thought is just like, can someone from Malaysia give Monkey D. Luffy a piece of meat so that so we can liberate our country from oppression?
Please. Oh god.
Oh man, like
what are some initial reactions here?
I don't want to disagree. I don't want to disagree with the One Piece community. I'm too scared to do that. I've read a couple of chapters, which is nothing. It's like making
out of 6,000 chapters.
Is it 6,000?
No,
I've read long manga. I just haven't read One Piece yet. I'm not deterred by the length of it. I just haven't. I've only read maybe like the first 10 to 20. I see where Asyraf is coming from. Like, oh, he's not. Like, he doesn't want to become the Hokage. He's more of like an everyman. But I don't relate as much as I did before when I was younger to very strong, opinionated, slightly silly shonen main characters. Like, I still see Monkey D. Luffy as someone in the same realm as like Naruto, someone in the same realm as like Ichigo from Bleach. So this is me politely disagreeing with Monkey Luffy being the best anime protagonist.
Yeah, I'm gonna go one step further. I hard disagree. I think that is such a lame answer. It's like, really, that's the that's the best, like the best anime main character of all time. You know what I mean? Like, I just think I get the wackiness, I get the fragileness, I get the whole like he doesn't have to be the strongest kind of a thing. But he's such a goofball that, like, do we really need to idolize goofballs? Yeah, do we need to idolize more goofballs? That's the best anime can offer. I'm saying this from a place where I'm gonna get canceled by the One Piece because I have not consumed anything One Piece whatsoever. I just have friends like Asyraf and friends like Dale who are just cramming One Piece down my throat. I'm actually quite surprised that Asyraf. I was texting him. I was like, "Hey man, I haven't seen the video yet, but it has to be One Piece, right?" He was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna say Doraemon or something." Doraemon is a better anime. No, I was kidding. No, but I get it. there's love and reverence for that character, but I don't know actually if like people love One Piece because of Luffy or because of the cast, you know. So to me, that's
the
what
power
makes
friendship.
it. Yeah, power of friendship and like
that's what I mean. That's what Asyraf was saying, right? He said to Sanji, "Oh, I can't be the Pirate King without you."
Yeah. So does that make him the best like MC? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
God bless Chazz. Thanks so much for sending that one in. And of course, it's One Piece. I'm so happy it's One Piece. But please, I don't want to talk about One Piece anymore because I feel like we are going to get canceled. By the way, I'm scared of them. If you think, let us know your thoughts. Is Luffy the best anime? Give more reasons without spoiling too much of One Piece. Give some more reasons.
Yeah.
Let's touch base with another one of our friends. Do you wanna? I think I'll lay it out.
Because I don't know which.
Yeah, you're right.
These
I know.
All, like,
I know.
First reactions.
We have another friend who is another prolific content creator, Southeast Asian of origin, Malaysian of origin. But MissDeusGeek, who most of y'all might recognize from a lot more Xbox content, a lot more gaming content, especially out there in Australia and New Zealand. But MissDeusGeek also does a lot of like anime content and loves consuming and producing stuff about anime.
Yeah, so she had a stint at Crunchyroll and Funimation back in in her previous role. Yeah, so she's pretty well versed with anime, especially I think the shonen genre. So I actually don't know what her answer is going to be. I'm super excited to see this one.
I have no idea either. Let's jump in.
Cool.
So the best main character in an anime of all time for me has to be Naruto.
Wow.
Mostly because obviously he's super OP. He's just one of the best Hokage Konoha has ever had. He's powerful even without Kurama, the fox spirit. So, all that is one of the main reasons. But put that aside, I think he's the best main character because of his characteristics as a person. Growing up from nothing and to get to where he was, all of that was done through pure perseverance and having immense self-confidence. I think that's something to really admire. And the fact is, he's so likable. He manages to change enemies' viewpoints and turn enemies into friends. And I think that's really special. It's a characteristic that not many people can bring to the table or have innately. And so I think that's really inspiring to see someone be able to overcome challenges, rise up, and just turn everyone into friends and bring people together. It's so special. And I think, that's probably one of the most important things I've taken from Naruto. And so therefore, he's my best main character.
Getting a lot of power of friendship vibes.
Why are our friends terribly basic? But before we move on, I think MissDeusGeek is awesome. I think honestly, go check out her stuff as well, whether it be on Twitter or YouTube, just all the different types of content that she makes. It's truly amazing how prolific of a content creator she is. But oh my god, Naruto, really? Like, that's such a cop out. It's another cop out, Are these characters really the best of all time? Probably the most. Talk about prolific. Like, Naruto is probably the most prolific piece of anime at this point now. I don't know. But I also, much like One Piece, I have zero consumption. So I'm gonna throw it to you, Rino.
I said this question was about understanding our friends and disagreeing with them, but it's really just to out Arief as like not really an anime fan. That was the whole point. I can weigh in on this a bit more. I've consumed a lot of Naruto content. I've played some of the games that they had on PlayStation 2. Naruto is like maybe like top 10 or top 20 on my list, like bottom of the 20s, I think, for me. He is, again, it's just like a lot of young, full of spirit. In Japanese there's a term called atsu kurushi. So atsu is hot, kurushi is painful. So when they're so enthusiastic or so hot-headed that it's painful to be around them, like that's how I feel about a lot of these shonen protagonists. Like they're just too much for me. And Naruto for me is not as much of perseverance as other characters like Rock Lee. So Rock Lee is one of my favorite characters from Naruto, and when I was in high school and I was like failing at maths back in Malaysia, I had a little picture of Rock Lee that I printed and I stuck on my mirror, and to remind me of like how much like more I had to go with studying, because Rock Lee, like this is like really in like super early Naruto. I think it's like the Chunin exams or something. So just to give context to people who don't watch anime like Arief, Rock Lee is the only one, as far as I know, because I've only watched that segment of Naruto, who can't do like ninjutsu or genjutsu. So he's basically like a squib. Like he has no magical ability, right? All he can do is taijutsu, which is the hand-to-hand combat stuff. So everyone makes fun of him because he has no chakra or something like that, I think. But he really, really perseveres. He's like, if I can't do 100 push-ups, I'll do 1,000 sit-ups. If I can't do 1,000 sit-ups, I'll run 100,000 miles. That kind of guy. And when he was in battle, he's like, we're dressed like everyone else, but then he like takes off these weights, and when the weights drop, it like sinks like 10 miles into the ground. They're like so heavy. So when he fights, he's like boom, boom, boom everywhere, because normally he's walking around with like 500-pound weights. So I feel like he's more emblematic of like perseverance. And Arief is just like,
I love anime so much, but I also hate anime so much because of this. Like all that I'm hearing from, I love love my friends to death, you included, but you guys are all such nerds. It's like Chazz talking about One Piece, MissDeusGeek talking about like Naruto, and then now you talk about Naruto. It's just like, you guys are such nerds.
The beauty of anime, which I think turns a lot of people off, because I think from what I'm seeing based on like your facial expression, it's like the over the topness of anime can be off-putting for many people. Like it's just almost like, I don't know, grotesque in that nature. But I think the beauty of anime is it takes a concept like hard work, and it really stretches it out to this impossibility that obviously can't exist in the real world. But by imbuing that with the kind of passion and the whole disadvantage of like, you can, Rock Lee is not a person in real life, but you can imagine someone who was born with a lot of disadvantages, but really fine-tunes on this one thing he can do, and then that becomes like an inspiring thing. And I think that's why a lot of people turn to anime, because it is inspirational, even though it's fantastical.
I think I totally agree, and that's why. And it's, I guess there's a reason why. And again, I'm so happy that I guess Naruto got brought up here by her. But it's one of those things where it's, of course, like with such a global, it to me, as somebody who doesn't watch these, there's got to be a reason why every single con I go to, there's One Piece and there's Naruto all over. Like it's impossible for people to like these shows and not like the main characters. So there has to be something magical with them. But I think like it was just so articulated so beautifully about like, it's so funny because I was MissDeusGeek's clip is kind of like you're advocating for a friend. Like they've gone to jail, and it's like you got to hear testimony of why they're a good person.
Pleading his case.
Yeah, it's just so hilarious, and I love it so much. Yeah, it's hilarious. I have no thoughts on Naruto, to be honest with you, because I haven't consumed, but I'm happy for you, Naruto. I don't know. Like, sounds like some pretty good qualities. Or the supporting cast, like, sounds like great people.
Sounds like great people.
Do you want to lay up our last clip here?
All right. So last clip is from a friend of mine. His name is Matt, but most people on the internet probably know him as Articulate ASMR. So he mostly does ASMR content, but we kind of became friends on the internet because we both also game a lot, and he also watches anime. And I basically just messaged him like, hey Matt, like I know you're more of like an ASMR artist. I don't think you've done any anime related ASMR, but can you just tell us about who your favorite anime main protagonist is? And he was down. He was like super kind to kind of send in his clip. And I guess that's about it. Like really, we're getting people from all over the place, I feel like, with these segments. Because not like, I think what is coming true a lot is that a lot of people game, a lot of people watch anime, a lot of people do stuff, but that's not all they do, kind of thing. So like in Matt's case, for example, like he does all this other stuff, but he also watches anime. So I think our show is cool because we can like talk about what other people's interests are, even if they're not necessarily in that space.
All right, and let's see how people that aren't necessarily in the space, like what opinions they have.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm a big fan. You probably see me in the comments section a couple of times. So you wanted me to share who I thought my favorite main character was in all animes of all time. Now, I'm not an anime connoisseur, and my opinion might upset some people, I'm not sure, but that's okay, you don't need to agree with it. But it's actually Kotaro from Kotaro Lives Alone. Now this is a young dude who comes to the show seemingly as an orphan. He lives on his own. No prizes for guessing that from the title of the show. But he's assumed the personality of like an English gentleman. He speaks very properly. But given his size and his age, he is an astonishing character for so many reasons. Given that we don't know a whole lot about his past, the way he carries himself, bearing in mind he's a small child who lives on his own, he's courageous, he's humble, but he's human, right? He gets frustrated, he gets annoyed sometimes, and he has moments of weakness that is very human. But again, the way he portrays himself and what he's aspiring to be is a beautiful watch, and it's my favorite anime, I think. It's only made one season, and I don't even think season 2 is going to get commissioned, which is really sad as far as I'm concerned. But it's an interesting character, and it's something I had never seen before. It's also the first anime I've ever watched with English audio. Any other anime I've tried to watch with English audio I find very difficult and really quite cringe. Very British word for embarrassing and awkward. Attack on Titan, for example, is gorgeous in Japanese audio. The English audio sounds bitter, and it's very difficult to listen to. But Kotaro Lives Alone, they do an excellent job of all the voice acting. It's an incredible watch, an incredible main character, and if you haven't seen it, give it a look. Honorary mention maybe to Gon or Eren Yeager, especially in season 4. I think he was quite easy to overlook in seasons 1 through 3 in Attack on Titan. But in season 4, I think he becomes almost a perfect main character. Really nice arc that's well written and worth an honorary mention. But Kotaro from Kotaro Lives Alone is my favorite main character from any anime. Thank you again for having me on the show. Take care, folks.
Can I just say I'm really glad that Matt reiterated the anime that he chose several times, because I didn't catch it the first time because the video is lagging on my end. So I was just like listening, like, what is he talking about? I know, it was like in my mind, it's like, guess which anime? He was like describing it, and I was like, okay, wait, which one? And at the end he says Kotaro Lives Alone. I'm like, all right, I got you.
I am so not familiar, and I'm looking it up now, and this is not at all what I expect.
It's I've heard of it, and I heard it's very, very good. I think it was on Netflix for a period of time. But I can't say anything more than that. I heard it's very good. That's all. Like, it's very different.
Yeah, it goes. I thought it's like, is this the anime based off of like the Japanese TV show where they have those little kids like walk around Japan?
Oh, alone? Like the ones alone.
Yeah. The anime, the art style looks so wacky. This looks like such a fun anime.
Yeah, I think it's I think that's why it got a lot of attention, because it looks different. Like the character looks really different, and I think the things it explores are obviously very unique because it's about a child who lives alone. But yeah, I want to check this one out now even more so. Ooh, I guess I'm not disagreeing with this take.
Yeah, I respect this take, honestly, because until he said area year from on Titan. But I'm glad that was an honorable mention, because y'all know, watch episode 1 to listen in on how much I hate Attack on Titan.
I thought he was gonna bring Attack on Titan to the table, because I know Matt is a huge fan of Attack on Titan.
Yeah, no, this one looks really fun, but it's like, again, it just goes back to like, our friends are just so nerdy, and it really sounds like they're defending the qualities of characters, like they know them personally, making a case for them. And I think this premise is such a funny, fun segment to the show, so I'm so glad we're doing it. But yeah, I don't think I disagree. This just seems like a cute one, but I respect it most of all because it's from 2021. You know what I mean? It's from 2021. It's not a
basic take.
It's not a basic take. There were some really solid arguments there. I respect it. I respect it.
My favorite part was when Matt defines cringe British word for embarrassing and awkward.
Man, and the audio quality there, I was more whisked away from his audio quality.
I was like, ASMR. Shit. This is an ASMR video. I was like, oh my god, am I gonna get ASMR tingles from just watching this? Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, nothing but respect. That's awesome. Go check it out. And if anybody has seen it, please give us some notes on Twitter or on the comment section below.
For sure.
What really quickly whilst we wrap up this segment, and then like huge thanks to all our friends who submitted those segments. Please, again, links in the description to their stuff. I assume we can put that there.
Yep. We can.
Imagine we don't at all. We just completely ignore their platforms. We like, no, like God bless like them for sending in those clips for our first ever segment of Disagree with Your Friends. I think that was a fun one. Yeah, but before we wrap it up, what was gonna be your answer? Best anime main character of all time?
Oh, okay. So I had a long think about this, and I realized that from a lot of the anime I watch, I actually don't really like the main character, or like the main character is not why I get into the show. It's more about like, again, the setting or the plot or whatever. But out of all the ones I've seen, I think Lelouch from Code Geass is my favorite protagonist of all time. And I don't know what like you have no idea what I'm talking about.
No idea what you're talking about, but it's more like I know Code Geass as a property, and I've seen a lot of the Twitter sphere talk about it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But of course,
just the way you say it, you're like, oh, like I've heard the plebs shout about it as I sit here and sip coffee from my ivory tower. These basic TV shows. No, Code Geass is a masterpiece. It's like honestly one of the best anime of all time. Still, I've made like a lot of people try to watch it even in like 2021 2022, not this year, but it hasn't aged to me. It's very, very good.
I'm sure people will agree with you. Like, there's such great things about the show.
It comes from, okay, well, like a quick spiel on it is like it comes from the psychological drama anime sort of genre. So where there's like a lot of like twists, and like if you know what Death Note is about, you know it's about two guys trying to like one up each other in this sort of like real life chess sort of scenario. Code Geass is the same thing, and just seeing the extent of what Lelouch can do, or like how he thinks and like how he manipulates other people is just fascinating. And it's like it's another mindfuck kind of show. I think that's like my favorite genre.
I'm on Google right now, and somebody else could verify this for me, but I just put Code Geass in Google, and the first, the Google drop-down thing is like, is Code Geass a good anime? And then the text is like an IMDb review. It's like, Code Geass is brilliant, period. It's one of the best animes ever made to date. And stands as the best.
I wrote that.
I was like, you is this you? So here's my quick wrap-up. It was going to be, so here's the honorable mention segment, right? You think like, oh, I was like, it can't be Shinji from Evangelion. He's the worst, but that's what might make him the best. I was like, I might try to make an argument about how the worst main character in anime is actually the best main character of anime, through trauma. So not Shinji from Evangelion. Then I was like, oh, a clear winner obviously is Ashitaka from Princess Mononoke.
He's terrible. He's so basic.
What?
The show is literally called Princess Mononoke. Like San is the main character. She's the best.
No, you don't follow her perspective throughout the entire thing. She's in like 4 scenes, No, he's like he has a curse upon him, and despite having the curse, he's so selfless. So like, oh, okay, I could see that. You remember like the scene where he's helping out the women at the thing because because he's so selfless. Good dude. Anyway, not my answer. Great movie though, Princess Mononoke.
Okay. Yeah.
Obviously, you have to go back to the source of what guided my moral compass as a child. And the reason why this guided my moral compass so well is because this character is like just the best person.
Isn't it?
Not. It's Sakura from Cardcaptor Sakura.
I knew.
Best anime main character of all time. She's in flipping elementary school, and she's going through like just saving the world from gigantic existential threats to to her neighborhood. But she does her homework on time. She takes care of the household. She does all her chores. She's a good friend to Tomoyo. You know what I mean? And then she like goes on these like mystical adventures that really is taxing on her. And she's a flipping child, but she gets over it, and she like essentially saves the world. God, I love Sakura so much. Like major respect for Sakura from Cardcaptor.
Literally this morning I was talking to a friend about this segment, and I was like, I am betting you Arief will talk about one of the 3 anime he's seen or Studio Ghibli.
What am I gonna say? Like Spike? You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say Cowboy Bebop. None of those characters.
Maybe you would have pulled a Digimon on me. Maybe you would talk about Tai.
No. I think Tai's lame.
Tai is funny.
Wow. Wow, we did. I feel like this is a good disagree segment. Talk about Digimon. Last topic of the show is God. We talk about Digimon almost every episode at this point. We should we should really reach out to the Digimon company to make more, or just make this a Digimon podcast. But I wanted to end the show by saying I've been playing a lot of Digimon World Next Order, and kind of like just talk about the game, because what a weird experience I've been having with this game.
Yeah, tell us about it. I haven't played it yet, and I didn't play the original either, so.
But you played Digimon World.
I played Digimon World, yeah, but
I've not
played
last
Next
episode.
Order.
Check out the last episode of the 20M podcast, everybody. We talk extensively about Digimon World before we talk about Digimon the first move. But yeah, I've been playing it's because it relates to anime main characters, and it's a little bit nostalgic as well, but I've been playing Digimon World Next Order. It's published by Bandai Namco. It was originally developed by BB Studio on the PlayStation Vita. God bless that. And the PS4. I think this was back in like 2016-17. And then it was recently ported over to Switch and PC this week by Hyde. So it's just like some context. We've already talked a little bit about Digimon World as a game. Happy to go over a little bit of what that concept is, but like it's the 6th iteration of the series. To me, despite being the 6th game in the series, it is genuinely a spiritual successor to Digimon. And it is so beautiful, where essentially the beauty about Digimon World 1 back on the PlayStation is building your town and growing your Digimon to evolve into more Digimon. Like, that's essentially the concept. I don't think there's anything else beyond that. Is that a fair description of the Digimon World like game?
I mean, I think the end game is to like fight the big 4 evils.
Sure, yeah, sure.
But
maybe
like,
we can save the world.
No one makes it.
Well.
No one makes it that far because it's such a fucking hard game.
Yes.
But yeah, tell us about your experience with Next Order.
So it's just like, and I remember texting you this. I got the code and I was playing the first couple hours of it, and I just got so angry. And these are full transparent thoughts with everybody here. I just got so angry. The UI was so confusing. I couldn't figure it out. The Digimon are moving as if it's like an older, like the characters are moving as if it's not even a 2016 game. It feels like a game than that. It doesn't hold up well. It's so confusing. I didn't know what I was doing. None of the mechanics really made sense to me. So I was just getting very angry with my Digimon World experience. I was like, this isn't what Digimon World was to me back in like, God knows when the first one came. And then you get to the 5-hour mark and you're like, huh, my Digimon are evolving. Makes sense. I'm recruiting Digimon to the town. It's pretty fun. And then the next thing you know, you're 20 hours into the game and it's the only thing you can do. And it's so ridiculously addicting and beautiful. And despite its shortcomings on the surface level, the Digimon World Next Order is so sophisticated and fun. But you just got to play like more than 15 hours of the game. And we were just talking about this concept about, you know, JRPGs that are really long. But to me, there's a couple of reflections where base building is super fun. It's one of those like I think throughout history, base building in games have always been fun. But it's just JRPG at its core, where the whole point of Digimon World is you go out into the world, you find Digimon, and you recruit them to the town, and the town gets bigger. To me, that is literally the essence of a JRPG, where you see stat progression, you're growing as like your characters are growing or whatever have you, but your whole town is growing. And to me, that was like so ridiculously satisfying. You can literally see the growth of your town. Like it goes from a little. I'll give you like a quick story, right? Like so Tentomon. You know Tentomon. Everybody knows Tentomon, right? The first time you find Tentomon, he's out like in the wild. He's like, hey, give me $500 and I'll give you this little healing item. And you're like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? After you recruit him to the town, he sets up a little like, he sets up next to Patamon. He's like next to a picnic blanket. He's like, oh, I can sell you a little bit of more healing items here. He's kind of got like some entrepreneurial spirit. Like, oh, thanks for contributing to the shop around town. And then the more you upgrade the town and the more you satisfy like Tentomon, he straight up owns his own like shop lot of like a building, which is just like a giant shop where you can buy and sell whatever goods that you need. So there's such a beauty in like, I think there's a fundamental difference between Pokemon and Digimon, where in Digimon feel like they have their own lives and they have like their own career aspirations and they have their own dreams to pursue, when Pokemon are just kind of there to exist, to evolve and fight, So like, I just love that Tentomon went from some hoodlum street selling HP disc dude in the wilds to business owner in my town, and I'm so happy for him. But like in all honesty,
he has an entrepreneurial streak, right?
Yeah. I'm so glad I've been able to equip him with the ability to pursue his dreams in owning a shop. But that's the major difference, I think, for me, where it's like this game is so addicting and so beautiful. So I've been falling in love with Digimon World Next Order in a very weird way. I don't think I've had this experience with the game where I disliked it so much and then completely 180'd, and now I'm playing it nonstop.
Can we just talk about two really quick things? One, your Digimon dying, and two, like the what the fuck it evolved to after that.
Yeah, I'll put a picture of so essentially, as you all know, and compared to Pokemon, Digimon go through cycles. So in the Digimon World series, your Digimon are always on a timer. They're always growing up, and they're always dying essentially. But the whole purpose of Digimon is that they'll regrow. Once they die, they'll regrow and they'll keep some stats and they'll just be better Digimon. So there's like multiple generations of Digimon that you.
Arief just wants to make sure that people know it's not his fault.
It's not my fault.
It was its time to die. He's
I
not
didn't
a bad
kill
trainer.
my
Don't call
Digimon.
the feds on him.
I didn't kill my Digimon, I promise. But I forgot this mechanic exists, because I've been playing Pokemon for so long and I haven't played the Digimon World series in forever. So at one point I was just like, I've been taking care of my Digimon so well, and they just flipping died on me, like on the spot. Like I woke up from I think like I finished a gym training session and they were so tired they just passed out and died. And I'm like, oh my god. Like,
my god,
the gym is dangerous.
That's too much like real life. That's
yeah, I remember the last time you passed out and died and was reborn into a new egg.
Is there like children's aid but for Digimon? Do we need to call someone?
Digimon police, Digimon protective services. And then so after my first set of Digimon died, which was not my fault, it was part of the game, for the record, I grew my second generation of Digimon, and I treated them so well. They were so happy. They were so well fed. They went to the bathroom on time, all that kind of stuff. And it evolved into the final form of Digimon. I can't remember what it's called. It's like Ultimate. Yeah. And I was so excited. I was like, oh, maybe I'll get a Black War Greymon. Maybe I'll get like, Omnimon or like a Paildramon or something that's like I remember from my childhood that's like an ultimate Digimon. And I ended up getting a Platinum Numemon. And if you were watching this on a visual, a video podcast, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. And it's kind of like when you have kids and you're so happy, you're taking care of your Digimon, you're so happy for them, you're treating them well, they're growing up, they've evolved into some other cool Digimon, and then their final form is just this monstrosity of a thing that like I'm afraid of.
Yeah. You sent your Digimon to private school and it came out as like a degenerate of society. That sounds like
yes.
How did you get a platinum Numemon, metal Numemon? Like, what was the champion evolution? Did they skip over that? And
I think it was no. It had a pretty good progression. It was like I think it was like Toy Agumon or something, and then it went. I think maybe it was Black Greymon or something. It was a really good progression. So I was like very shocked that I got this thing. I'm afraid of saying its name, you know what I mean, in case it haunts me in the but yeah, I'm just so disappointed. It died, so we don't have to deal with it anymore. But I've never been more scared of finding out what other Digimon exist in this world. But you still have to love them equally.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just the joys of Digimon, man. Just not knowing what you're gonna end up. Do you have any experiences with any other thoughts on Digimon World? I know you spoke about Digimon World a lot last episode.
I do. I just remember like Numemon was the one you get when your Digimon has like failed at life. Like it did not acquire the correct stats to evolve to anyone, so it defaults to Numemon. I don't know if that's the same in Next Order. And then like you could also get Sukamon, and Sukamon is what you get when your Digimon has pooped its pants like too many times, when it maxes out the poop bar. Then it evolves to Sukamon. So those are the two that I remember.
For the record, my Digimon go to the bathroom on time, right?
Okay.
So I did not get that Digimon. No, the last thing I'll say, and like to get a little bit serious here, not that we have our episode, but there's a fascinating thing that I've been playing, like the fascinating experience when I've been playing this game, where it's so funny compared to other monster collecting IPs, games, or I think mostly games. Is that the difference with Digimon is that like they're on a timer, right? So they die at the end. So you always want to make sure to care for them. You have to feed them a lot, so they eat like 2 meals a day. And then you have to clean up their crap, and they have to go to the bathroom sometimes as well. And you got to make sure they're happy, or sometimes they'll throw a tantrum if they don't like a food that you give them, and you can either praise them or scold them. So there's this actually like quite a fascinating like parental approach to Digimon, which I think is a mechanic that you don't see in a lot of other monster collecting IP. That makes me kind of like it just makes me feel way more attached, which is why I'm like falling in love with Digimon World Next Order. It's like I feel so violently attached to my Digimon because I'm literally taking care of them 24/7. Compared to Pokemon, where like I love my Pikachu, don't get me wrong, I love my Lapras, but you can kind of just stay in the box, you know, until I need you.
They're a bit more like you just sort of like utility focused. Although Monster Rancher is a bit similar to Digimon in that you do kind of care for them a lot of the time, but you don't have that exploration element where you're going out and like bonding with them. So I think that makes it a little bit more removed. I think Digimon has like kind of like the right balance of it. But yeah, I was very sad when my Digimon died. You put so much time and effort into raising them and you know thinking you're doing the right thing, and then when it's their time to go, it's like, oh my god, it's such a pain.
It is. It's like so sad to see them go, but also kill that Platinum Numemon with fire. Like I don't need to see you around anymore.
My god.
I'm good. Rino, what else is going on with you this week, this month? What can we look forward to on yours?
I think we are collabing at some point. I hope that's not news to you. I think we're doing that. By the time this episode goes out, it might have been already done. So hopefully people who are listening have caught that stream. But yeah, I don't know. Is there's something else happening that I'm not aware of? What's happening with you? What's coming up?
Oh god, I don't know either. No, I think I'm excited to stream a little bit more as well. So I know we're doing that stream, and hopefully we can play. I can play some more games. But no, I mean, imminent announcements soon about the stuff that I'm doing. I think there's a couple projects that have been confirmed but publicly announced. So maybe. But no, I just want to know everybody again. Like we've been having some good clips go up on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and YouTube Shorts and everything. But for those that are listening to the podcast, again, tell us your favorite Adam Sandler movie from last episode. Give us, reasons why you like Hi-Fi Rush, why you don't like Hi-Fi Rush, or and for this episode, sell Danganronpa. Like that's all I want to see from
sell anime to Arief.
Sell anime in general to me. Like why do I hate Naruto and Attack on Titan? Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening to the 20am podcast, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. Everyone,
major love to
subscribe.
Oh yeah, we should subscribe to the podcast. We're on all platforms. 20am podcast. Okay, it's a nice subscription on YouTube. You know what I mean? Hit that subscribe button. But I wanted to say thanks so much to the folks that sent in their disagree with your friends topics. Again, major love to our friends.
Thanks, Matt. Articulate Design ASMR. Thanks, Diana, MissDeusGeek, and thanks, Asyraf Chazz.
From Asyraf Chazz Enterprises. We'll see you on the next episode, folks. This was a really fun one.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.